different headspace right now, so I'll be very chill, calm, collected, give space for people to talk.
The one
And then
thing
I'll
that I
let,
can,
and then I won't let Benny talk.
the one thing
And
I
then
can't
I'll
stop
just
thinking
listen
about-
to you asking questions.
Well, no, I have to just bring. I know it's somehow tangentially related to Jim's, but we just found out that I guess somebody in our foreign release has taken Daddy Longlegs, which
Our first movie,
our
yeah.
first film, was released all over the world, but somewhere in that process, the music and effects track was deleted and replaced with war sounds. So
With a movie which had a war setting.
yes,
Yeah.
well, no, it's
That's what it would have been. It wouldn't have been arbitrarily war sounds. It would have been.
oh no, from a war
Yes.
movie. Yes, it's from a war movie because you watch Daddy Longlegs and there's well mixed effects of like bombs and
This is
gunshots.
only Australia, right?
But I think, and then that DVD got burned and uploaded to a torrent site, so it's spread amongst the world.
Well, and then.
But nobody said anything to us. So because they just saw the movie like, oh, I guess this is really interesting. Especially in light of the sound design on Gems, they're like, I guess they just got really crazy with sound early on, you know. But so,
Except then there's this kind of now what seems like kind of a crooked person in England who released that movie years later. He I guess couldn't make a deal with the international. The way these things work is you make a movie and that movie premiered at Cannes, so it was like, you know, you have a lot of international buyers at the height of the recession. It was like 2009. So you get this like, the new company was going to sell the film to all the territories. First territory that bought that movie was Iran, and they wanted to retitle the movie Bad Jew. And we were like into it. We were like, all right, yeah, sure, whatever you got to do to sell tickets, you got to do it.
It's a better title.
It is. I can't confirm that was brought back to me, but I love Iranian cinema, so I was like anything to be in the canon of Iranian movies. Anyway, so this company was like tasked with trying to sell a very small budgeted neo-realist movie about a kind of a fucked up father, and spoiler alert, he accidentally drugs his kids for a week, and they go to this thing called stage 4 sleep. So the movie was released, whatever, and then over the years became more interest, and this company in England was like, oh, we want to release, when Heaven Knows What came out, we want to release Daddy Longlegs, and never got a release here. So I guess they couldn't strike a deal with this German-based company. So what they decided to do was just download the torrent and put that out on DVD
and in theaters.
And in theaters.
So,
but they clearly didn't ever tech the film. So they just released it with this war sound all over
I saw
it.
the clip that you posted, and it feels right. Like,
It
it's
feels
subtle.
Machine
It's subtle.
guns happening when he's
Well,
like
it's
eating a
just
hot
like-
dog.
The weirdest is
It's in New York, and
There's a,
yes,
that's the thing is, like, you hear like a subtle bomb in the distance. It's far away, and you hear helicopters above.
Very
So people
conceptual.
are like,
I almost want to take credit for it.
Yes.
be a bad father
Because the
too
thing
if
is-
you
and then I
had PTSD from.
yes, exactly. But then I realized, oh wait, there is a scene where there's two war veterans arguing over who is a real war veteran. So they just assume that the father was a Vietnam War vet.
The
who's
people
going
watching
through-
the movie, yeah,
yes,
we saw this.
who go through this weird, that whenever he's in life, he hears war everywhere. And like, that's what they took from it.
It's like, yeah, like Jacob's Ladder. Yeah,
Yes.
That's
So-
what Ari was saying. He's like, it's just like Jacob's Ladder. And I was like, oh, it kind of is like Jacob's Ladder.
It's just a very strange thing, especially now, because people are like, oh, I guess you guys were just experimenting early on with like.
I was explaining to Ari that with that movie, I don't even remember I don't remember doing anything really like what we did on
Oh,
this
no,
movie.
so we had ideas, like where we were like, oh, we want this to sound, we had lavs and everybody, and we just, the normal.
We didn't
But we didn't go crazy like this, no way.
Yeah.
You know, there was, yeah. Anyway, it was just a very strange thing to be tracking down like the patient zero of this leak.
Oh, I sent the
online.
nastiest
I
DM
called- and I would
to
call-
the international sales company because we couldn't get I couldn't figure, it's been so long since we talked to these people. So I just was like, Benny was trying to get this person's number, and then I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna DM them, and I'm gonna try to tap into some ruthless part of myself. Making up legal talk and, you know, and who knows who runs that account? It's probably just some intern for that company.
Or you leave like a voicemail and then cut to the guy who's listening to it, just like hearing all these bombs because he's the one who's
Yeah, no, I should.
flashing back.
I should.
I know we
do
should,
that.
probably should talk about the movie, but there is the voicemail thing triggered a very scary thing that happened to me in my life where somebody stiffed me on like a bill. I gave the tip in cash, but I wrote cash on the thing, and then the person actually took the money and then also charged my credit card for the tip. And I noticed that, and I said, okay, I'm gonna call them, I'm gonna see what happened. I left a message, and they just never called me back, and I just got into a loop where I was like, oh, I'll call them back tomorrow and see. And that happened 3 times. I'm like, you know what? I'm calling every day. So I called every day for months, and I left a message every day, and it turns out I knew somebody who was friends with the person who ran the bar, and they said they were just listening to the voicemails every day, and just be like, oh, he's calling again. And I was this psychopath who was calling the voicemail. I don't know, I'm sorry.
What you will do for $3.50.
At some point I said, I could go there with a MetroCard and get it, but that would be against the...
Because then you're spending the money.
Exactly.
On the, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna be a moderator and stop this right here.
No. Let's also talk about the ways of which everything is refundable if you have the time. Everything is. If you have the time, Benny taught me that. We used to you get these, and you're making a movie where they'll fly you to a place. There's ways you can benefit off of those flights without.
I wonder if you guys can get your money back.
Yeah. Absolutely, if everybody in this room wanted a refund, sure, if you tried hard enough, you could get it.
Well, no, I'll look at Howard would do something like that. It's the principle that matters, He does
It's like, okay, we're coming
he
full
does
circle.
bad
Here we
things.
go.
He does bad things, but he's not a bad person.
Yeah. No, I believe that Howard has probably put in a 6-hour customer care phone call once, trying to get a refund on some sort of Fabergé egg that he bought. That it arrived and the pictures weren't the same, and and he shouldn't spend $12,000 on a Fabergé egg and it not wow somebody when they walk in the room. He had the no wow factor. I had 5 people walk in and not one person commented on the Fabergé egg. I want a refund. It's Howard. He's right, and he has a point. If you buy something, it should have like real value in your life.
So where does Howard come from? You worked in this film for 10 years.
Yes.
The inception was like 10 years ago. Where did it start?
It came after that movie, the war movie.
Very similar character.
It is. Lenny was that character. Leonard Sokol, who's played by
Your co-writer and co-editor.
Rob Ronstein, yes. And we had the intention of following up that movie with this very ambitious genre movie that was inspired by our dad's time in the Diamond District when we were kids. And the first draft that we wrote was like a real nostalgic kind of retelling of these pulpy stories that were totally true, entirely nonfiction, but they were absurdly funny because you couldn't believe like getting stuck in between in a vestibule for 12 hours and the things that you do when you're stuck in that vestibule. Or there's a lot of stories. We actually chronicled them in the A24 zine. If you guys, I don't know, do they have them here? I don't know. They might have them here.
Well,
So they're free, I
It's
think.
cool that the movie posters in that thing are.
The movie poster, but the stories with our dad are great. So that's where the character
And he worked for a guy whose name was Howard, but he wasn't this Howard, but he was a kind of Howard who he told us a story how he would go to Bob's Furniture, and Bob's Furniture has free candy. And so he knew that, so he would go with a duffel bag. And he said, I filled that duffel bag up so tight, the bag burst on my way out of there. The candy just flew everywhere.
It wasn't a duffel bag.
That's
very
what he
big.
said.
It wasn't.
That's what he said. He said a duffel bag, and he said the kids went wild. Whatever. There's a guy like that who literally deals in gold. It doesn't need to be going and stealing candy from Bob's Furniture. But
It's not stealing.
Exactly, it's free.
Yeah.
But just that mentality. What is that? Where did that come from?
And that kind of, and then we tried to make that movie. At one point, a big producer who loved Daddy Longlegs said, hey, in that first version there was a heist that happened towards the end, and he was like, it was 10 pages. He's like, all right, I will pay for this movie. You take these 10 pages and turn it into the whole movie. Everything else is just weird. And we don't need that. Just do the 10 pages of the heist thing. I'll greenlight it tomorrow. And we said no. We said we don't want to make a straight heist movie. Weirdly, ironically, we ended up doing that with Good Time, years later. Not a straight heist movie, but had a heist in it. So we basically said, all right, well, if we can't get, we wanted Sandler from the beginning. He said no immediately. Well, he didn't say no. His people, we couldn't. When you're that much of a star, you have a group of people around you, managers, agents, publicists.
Their job is to say no.
And their job is to basically like get all the, like basically receive all the bow and arrows being shot at them and just take them. And then every once in a while they'll be like, oh, this one, you know, we'll bring this one over. And we couldn't
Or
get
they
over.
catch one and they're missing this one flying by, and that one
Yeah,
hits
then
Sandler, and Sandler's like, oh, what is this?
That's usually the guy at the coffee shop who comes bombarding him with the screenplay. So that one usually gets thrown away probably immediately. But so he said no, and then we continued to workshop. We did over 160 drafts of the script. We did over 3 page 1 rewrites. Every time we had a casting idea, we would rewrite the whole script through that person. After Sandler said no, we'd go out to other people. I ended up embedding myself back into the Diamond District. The connection that we had through our dad, that it got us nowhere. No one really cared about that person. He wasn't like a big player on the block. So I started to do my research, and then doing that, I met a young woman, which turned into a whole movie about her, heaven knows what, which naturally led to Good Time, and then Good Time was the film that Sandler finally saw that we made the movie. But along the way, we started to kind of romanticize this character, Howard, me seeing in the Diamond District these larger than life kind of heroic figures who would tip somebody $100 for a $1 hot dog, but then the next day complain about a $5 charge on something. Like the hot and cold element, the salesmanship was always so romantic that they could sell ice to an Eskimo, and you could watch it happen, and there was almost a religious quality to the materialism and the consumerism of the Diamond District. Here you had, people running around, fighting over these little precious shiny things, and it was just, it was very old-fashioned. It felt medieval. And so these are the things that as you get deeper and deeper into it, you follow certain ideas and whatnot. And everything happened for a reason, because Sandler ended up doing the film. It was going to be other people along the way. The basketball player changed 3 times. Started off as Amari Stoudemire, and it was like a Knicks-based film, which
The movie
was a lot easier for us.
It was contemporary. Like every year, we just update the season. So okay, it's Amari 2010. Right now it's Amari 2011, Amari 2012.
2012, something interesting happened. Amari, in the
fire
playoff, first round of the playoff against the Heat, he had some spaz out where he punched a fire extinguisher in the locker room, and he ended up cutting open his hand, and he played the next game with this huge cast, not cast, but bandage around his hand, and we were gonna make that game
when he
falls through the
showcase. The showcase, because he would fall through the showcase, and then that night he'd be on TV playing with these bandages. We're like, oh, it's perfect.
And we were going to dub in the commentaries because he's playing. Well, I think they said he's performing so well despite those cumbersome bandages.
Yeah, they talk about how he was able to still shoot his free throws even with that.
Yeah, so and then eventually Amari ended up retiring, and then we went. It was with Joel Embiid, who's on the 76ers, and he's an African player. Well, Amari is Jewish, so there was the Beta Israelite Ethiopian thing was of interest, and it fit with the movie. And then Joel, he's from Cameroon. The African player actually helped a lot with the themes of the movie. Empowerment through reclamation, taking this thing back that was taken, from his home continent, and it was Joel until about 4 months before production, and then Sandler couldn't shoot until I think the season started. Then we had to look at a new, recently retired player again. Amari wouldn't cut his hair to match the games that we needed to edit around, and then we were left looking at a handful of players, and Kevin Garnett. As a Knicks fan, I really hated him. And I didn't even want to meet him, in all honesty. I said, I hate him, I don't want him anywhere near the movie. And everyone convinced me to meet him. And then I told him that, I was very honest. I said, I just want to let you know I hate you. And I hope you can respect that. He loved that. He thought it was hilarious, but I was 100% serious.
And then I said, did Amari have time on the clock? And he's like, really? It's 8 years ago, a regular season game, you still care about that? I'm like, yeah, of course.
You get lucky with him. He's amazing.
Of course, no,
He's
and-
so good.
Well, what we
The
learned is he
thing-
loves wrestling, and he was performing every night for 20,000 people.
And then on
so-
top of that, his games are so much more, like, he puts as much emphasis on a rebound as he does scoring a basket. So you have this amazing kind of change to the bet, whereas everything becomes so much more important. And that changes the movie, you know?
Also, it becoming, I guess, accidentally a period piece.
Mhm.
I think that's beautiful. It's one of my favorite things about the film, and it sort of joins this like very small club of like, why is this a period film? Like Big Lebowski, and you know,
Yeah,
why is this 91?
Yeah, yeah.
But
I would always remind us while we were shooting. I would always remind us all internally. I'm like, this is a 2012 period piece. It's so specific, and we could have done the exact date based on the games, but they didn't coincide with Passover exactly. So we were like, you know what? Maybe we'll just keep it a little bit vague. But the specificity of it makes it feel even more, and then we're using lots of people who haven't been in a movie before. So you have these people you've never seen before who are of real life, mixed with these legendary actors, but it's taking place in such a specific time, it must be a true story. You know what I mean? So many people I meet, they ask me, you know, this was based on a true story, and
Well, and that mixed with the real games, people are like, oh, this
Yeah.
is a fact. You know,
Well, I love
he
that.
turns on the TV and there's the game. You know?
And the Coens famously messed with everyone's mind with Fargo when they just told everyone it was based on a true story, and but it's so specific. I always specificity from writing and very much in direction is so important, and I think if you can.
And it recontextualizes those games where it's like, well, he lost because he didn't have the gem. He won because
Well,
he
and
had
you
the
know,
gem.
I know.
you know how hard it was? Like, literally, we said, okay, he has to have a good game when he gets the gem, a bad game when he doesn't have it, and a good game when he has it. Those need to be, like, legally sequential. You know, they had to have them one right after the other. So we looked at Garnett's entire games as, like, 2012 was our limit, because now that the weekend was involved, 2012 was right when he got
It was the
famous.
earliest we could. Yeah.
So that was the early date, and then Garnett retired 2016, so we had this small window, and we looked at all of his games on basketballreference.com. We had to find these 3 games, and if we didn't, like, we'd be screwed. You know, it's like we literally put all
I'll
of this
admit,
down.
having those binders, I printed up every one of his games. Having those binders of basketballreference.com game logs of Kevin Garnett's Boston Celtics series, Sixers, whatever. I had for a moment, I would sit there deep in these big binders. I had the illusion that I worked in the NBA,
You know, it was like-
and I loved it. I was like, wow, I was looking at the numbers. I was like, we got to get rid of this guy. I always felt like I should have a cigar in my mouth, and you know,
But-
like I'm in the back of the bus, you know, like in a league of our own almost. You know what I mean?
I guess this is not the place to say it, but I'm actually very happy. Even though I'm not happy it's a Celtics movie, I'm happy it's not a Brooklyn Nets movie. Because he did go to the Nets, and we're Knicks fans, so there's a, sorry, no, it's not the place to say it. But I am more happy that it's a Celtics thing than that. Because
Okay, so they want me to.
There
want me to
was
wrap this up.
there was a jewelry store a few blocks from here that our dad used to bring jewelry from 47th Street to in the 80s and early 90s. And the guy, he said the security guard had a shotgun, just held a shotgun. It was just there, like by his leg. And that was the security. Like, that guy has a shotgun. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to fuck with him. No stealing. It's actually interesting, when I was doing research for Good Time, a lot of banks could prevent all their robberies if they just hire, you know, full-time in-store security or in-bank security. But it costs more money to have a person standing there being a security guard than it does to have to pay a little premium on their insurance if they get robbed. So it's a ruthless world, capitalist world we're in.
But the beautiful thing, the thing about the Diamond District is it has this kind of old world feeling to it, you know, where everything is based on your word. You know, that like something like that is the security. These things feel like they're timeless in a weird way. So to be able to capture that on
It's kind of the old west. Yeah.
it is, it's unbelievable. So, and like just even before, right before this movie came out, the Eddie is Eddie is played by
Jonathan
Yes.
Armbruster, who plays his son in the movie.
He works for his father is a massive jeweler in the district.
Bling,
Massive.
bling, bling jeweler. He does all the Migos. He did the Migos chain that the door opens up and they come out with the little Uzi.
And-
This is a chain.
Yeah, and so
It's
so
amazing. You
Anyway,
gotta
this
see it.
guy,
I'll show you a
he's
video
called
of
the
it.
chef because he can cook up the most incredible things. But right before we were, I guess, when was it? Like
Right before we premiered it,
premiered it. The son is involved, like he's there working with his dad on like a Sunday.
Yeah.
These guys come in and they ask to look at all this jewelry and they put it all out. And next thing you know, they take out guns and they rob the place for $8 million, just right like that, broad daylight. And this poor kid is literally.
But when you, what's so funny is you look at the surveillance footage. You can Google it. It's on there. It's like just type in like robbery 47th Street and do news latest, and you'll see the video surveillance. I asked Izzy. I said, the guy's wearing like a Rite Aid Halloween costume of a Rastafari. You know, like with the beanie with the fake dreads. Why would you even think that person would buy really expensive jewelry? They look like a crazy person. It looks like someone wearing a costume. And
But the thing is in the diamond, everybody is a potential. You don't know. You can't. So you let anybody in a weird way, and you let them come in, and you deal with them, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work out. But you have to kind of trust everybody in a weird way. At the same time, take all these precautions in the opposite.
So wrapping up, I guess, this isn't being filmed. Half the audience is gone because they presumably didn't enjoy the experience.
you never know. People have stuff to do. I'm looking right now.
Somebody could.
Actually, I think people came back. They were in the
There could be
bathroom. They were in the
somebody
bathroom.
doing a Sandler type longest pee in the bathroom.
Right.
They're still going.
I think people returned from the bathroom. But do you have any?
He's filming right there.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Do you
I was looking. I was like, who are the snipers? Where are they?
have any-
Right here.
Do you have any good Rudin stories?
Scott Rudin stories. Scott Rudin's the producer of the film, and he's a legend. And he really pushed the movie in an incredible way. I'll just say that there was one moment early on when he let us edit the whole film the way we wanted it to, and then we shared a cut with him, and then he said, I'm gonna come by and we're gonna look at some, try to get this first act much shorter, and he said, if the gem, what?
There's nobody there.
There's someone right there. The gem wasn't showing up until minute 34 or something like that, and this is without the African prelude. So
it would have been minute 40.
So it would have been more like minute 40 with the gem into the colon thing. And he said, this is only someone like Scott Rudin would say, he's like, when we were doing The Firm, which is an amazing, legendary movie. See, when we were doing The Firm and we were in draft 100 or whatever, 60 drafts in, and I'm looking, and I'm seeing that he gets the job on page 60. I'm thinking, it's called The Firm. You can't get the job an hour in. He's got to get the job 10 minutes in. This movie's called Uncut Gems. Let's get to that gem. And he wasn't saying it in like a ruthless way. He was right.
totally
We had this
correct.
very labyrinthian first act that we cut a lot of stuff out of, and he was great. But he would often just drop a casual like, oh yeah, when in 2008 when I was with the Coens and PTA, I was like, wait, what? He produced in the same year and won the Best Picture for No Country for Old Men. He also did There Will Be Blood
What about
in the
this
same
place?
year. The same year,
Or like-
and that doesn't include like the 6th Broadway play
Or
extravaganza.
the casual
Or the
stories
70
where Paul
assistants he
Newman,
fired.
where he's just like dealing with Paul Newman, like banging on there was like something with Paul Newman where he like banged on the phone booth that he was on the phone with.
Well, that's his first movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, his legend is around him all the time. Anyway, that's the wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's enough.
Thank you.
Well,
And
no, this is-
it's nice to be up here with Ari because we
Woo!
love his movies too. So.